welcome to the Dimp Digital Podcast. We're on episode number 67, and this time we've got myself, Apps, Logan the Reliable, and Adkins. Gents, how you doing?
The dream team!
Well, it might be at one point, because obviously Hall's working arrangements is costing us, or him really, he's the one losing out. I don't think we're losing out by not having him, because all he's doing is playing Saints Row 4 achievement hunting.
Yeah, cool.
And what is that offering to the greater good of Dimp Digital and the listeners? They don't want to hear about that shit. That's actually an alright game, to be fair. I actually played the first three and never got round to playing the fourth. I was sick of them after a while. But
it is alright.
Is it? Have you played it?
Played it for about an hour or so just to get the idea of it. It's ridiculous. Like, that's the only word for it. It's like it's just ridiculous. It genuinely made me laugh the first hour.
Is it in a good way, or are you just like, what?
Yeah. Like, it's if I played that when it originally come out, I'd have probably thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's still good, but you can tell it's obviously dated. But it amuses me because it doesn't take itself too seriously.
No, that's the key with those games. They're actually a decent series. I think I've played all three of them. I think when it got to the fourth one, and I read that they just basically used the same map and just giving you superpowers, I was like, you know what, that seems a bit lazy to me. I can't be dealing with it. I played all three of them within a short period of time, so I binned it and just never got round to it. And then I missed the freebie on Games with Gold because when I went to download it, it said please enter your payment details. And I was like, you don't need my card for this. You don't need my card to download a free game, as you're calling it. So I didn't do it, and I've lost the chance to get it. So Paul, I don't need a card for the Games with Gold Xbox One games. Why do they need that for Xbox 360? Pack it in.
That's weird. Mine didn't do that.
Have you got a card saved on there?
Oh, what?
That's I haven't. I always buy like codes and put them on. I never put my card on there because I just can't be arsed for a start.
Fraud.
Well, could be fraud, but it's just a pain in the arse. Anyway, unnecessary babble because a couple of things to talk about. I mean, there's no point batting around the bush. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, finally released this past week, and we're going to sit here and talk about our experience of this. So me and Adkins have actually finished the game. Logan hasn't and is working his way through it currently. Needless to say, though, we're going to talk very generally about the game and not give away any story-based spoilers, or even, I don't really want to give away any of the set pieces. I want that to all be a surprise for people. So we're going to talk very generally about it, but there is a lot to talk about. So don't worry too much about spoilers here. We're not going to go, oh, the end, and all that sort of shit. It's going to be very general, but God almighty, I mean, where do we start? Okay, I mean, first of all, I fucking love this game. It is... It's completely gripped me and it's consumed me. I think it's a really, really, really good game. I played the previous three. And I had kind of high expectations on this because I played The Last of Us as well, which was the last kind of game. So it was going to be difficult for it to try and meet those expectations, but in my opinion, it exceeded them in a way. And I'm not ragging on something like Rise of the Tomb Raider. That was a good game in its own right. But I'll tell you what, ain't half luck that this got delayed and didn't go head to head with it because it's in a different league in terms of these type of games, these adventure games. Honestly, it puts some games to shame what they've done here, in my opinion. Just the level of detail they go into. Now, Adkins, you also have played the previous 3 Uncharted games.
Yeah, I think I remember telling you about them when I first started picking you up.
Yeah,
to take you to work.
Yeah, he did. I didn't have a PS3 at the time, and I remember distinctly you babbling on about these and thinking that does sound pretty good, actually. And it wasn't until I borrowed a PS3 back in like 2012 or 13 that I got a chance to play all 3 of them. I kind of done them reasonably quickly, like within a couple of months. I'd gone through all 3 of them. You've also got the Nathan Drake collection. You got up to the second one and finished that on Crushing. Or you've done all 3 of them on the Nathan Drake as well?
No, I haven't. I've only done the first one. I've platinumed the first game.
On
Crushing, so and then 4 come out. But my intention now is to do 2 on Crushing and platinum 3. Both of them.
So you've played those 3. You know what the game's about. You've played The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog specialist. You finished the game. Let's hear it. High level. How does Uncharted 4 actually stack up in reality? Have I gone over the top there?
Uncharted 4 is an absolute fucking masterpiece. That is
the terms.
That is it. They have set the bar so fucking high. It is unbelievable. Naughty Dog have absolutely pissed on everything that's come out.
Yeah, I can't disagree with it. It did actually genuinely blow me away in certain bits.
Yeah, it is so hard to fault the game at anything really. I think its gunplay is probably its worst feature, but even that's acceptable.
It's still good. Yeah, it's still decent. Yeah,
it's still fine, but that is its worst feature. But literally every element of the game is done to perfection.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, we will go into some of those in a bit more detail in a moment, but it still leaves Logan, because this is a man who hasn't played the previous 3, and this is a man that hasn't also played The Last of Us. He even let his missus play The Last of Us because he was too scared. That's the sort of man we're dealing with. A man who used to be...
That's not yet to be confirmed, those allegations.
Well, I lent it to you, and I know that she played it and you didn't.
That is, again, to be confirmed.
Scrabblers. So let's just get that out there. A Call of Duty and a FIFA nut as well. Well, previously anyway. But you've been on this kind of journey to try and widen, you said, your gaming scope. And you went out and bought Uncharted 4 on day one.
Yeah.
Now, does this feel like it's going to be a worthwhile investment? Considering, I would say from the outside, it typically goes against your gaming habits. It's not.
Absolutely does.
It's not first-person shooter. It's not primarily online. I mean, it does have a multiplayer set there for people to go through, but it's, for all intents and purposes, this is a single-player, third-person game. This sounds like to me it should be a personal disaster for you.
Mm-hmm.
So is it?
No, not at all.
How's that happened?
Well, I think we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, and I said to you, I'm sniffing.
Yeah.
And I'd been umming and ahhing whether to get it, whether is this, and I thought, do you know what? I thought, fuck it. Like what? How it's going to be a good game.
It ain't going to put me in debt.
It ain't going to bankrupt me. It's not. There's no reason for me not to buy this other than me just being my old self and just going, no, it's not really my sort of thing. But I did say to you, I want to stop this Call of Duty FIFA binge.
I think that's stopped already. I mean, you've got FIFA, but Call of Duty certainly you've just completely axed.
Didn't buy a FIFA this year either.
Oh, did you not? I thought you had it. Oh, fair enough. There you go.
No, binned them both off.
Wow.
Yeah, so I thought, right, okay, let's just get it. See how I fare with it. There's not going to be Scrabblers. So yeah, I just thought let's jump into it, and I've absolutely loved it so far. I said to you, I don't normally get het up in spoilers and knowing what's happened, what's going to happen, and things, and I just don't want to know this time around. I want to be surprised by it. I want to feel it in the same way that I do for Game of Thrones when I'm watching that. I want to get that sort of surprise and that all the emotion out of it. So it's been. I've really enjoyed it so far, and it's opened me up a little bit, I think.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to sort of end our general vibes of Uncharted. We're all very much enjoying it or have enjoyed it. And let's go into a little bit more specifics now. So, graphics, presentation, performance, that sort of thing. It's an very easy place to start. And the best man for talking to us about that is probably you, Adkins, because PC Master Race member, although some people are questioning your commitment to that race after getting this, they will, they'll be saying, well, why'd you be doing that? But why'd you be doing that? Why'd you be doing that? If I was to come to you, I'm not saying this is what my opinion is, but if I was to come to you and say Uncharted 4 is the best looking game whilst actually playing it, i.e. when it's in full flow, you're doing the moment-to-moment gameplay, you're doing whatever platform and shooting. Would I be misleading you by making that statement?
No, not at all.
So any PC game you've played, when it's you don't think that they can touch this on this little underpowered white, in my case, white piece of shit under my telly.
In the games that are out currently, and there are obviously a lot of games I haven't played, but I play most Triple H titles.
Yeah, which is where the graphics are usually best.
Yeah, the stylisation of this game and just the general look and the sort of texture quality, Uncharted blows everything out of the water completely.
I can tell you're serious about this because normally you're very happy-go-lucky, but you're very deliberate in what you're saying.
Yeah. No, I really do think it's like go-to games on PC are games like a Crisis that always gets told for its sort of graphic fidelity. I don't know.
Could you argue something like The Witcher these days?
Witcher, that's a great example. Yeah, that was probably one of the better looking games I've played. Yeah. Even BioShock Infinite, I thought was a really good looking game. But just the stylisation of this game, just
big words,
very big. The foliage of this game.
He loves the foliage.
Mate, I get wood for the foliage. Just, oh my god. There's I don't want to. It's not a spoiler, but there's. It's ruined. There's a level where you're just
not a spoiler, but the ending is.
There's a level where you're just slowly driving through an environment.
Oh yeah. I think some people would have seen it anyway, but it's
I haven't got to that one.
That's all you need to know. But just for the next sort of 20 seconds to 30 seconds, my jaw was just on the floor, just looking around. The amount of times I stopped playing this game and just done a slow pan to the left. And then I must have spent at least 3 hours of this game in photo mode.
I was going to say, you said to me you took about 200 photos or screenshots.
I've nearly clogged up my PS4 just from screenshots of this game. I'm getting in sprightly angles. I've got him hanging from cliffs, getting up between his nuts, looking at the environment. Oh, mate. But graphically, the game is insane.
Yeah, it's difficult to articulate it, really. It's incredible. It is a true achievement how they've got the PS4 to churn out this marvel. I mean, I've been playing with a headset on, or headphones, sorry.
Same.
Took them off just to go on my phone, and I'll tell you what, the PS4 is fucking noisy with that on. It really, you can tell that it's pushing the hardware as far as it's been pushed on any game on that platform. But in full flow, I honestly think nothing can touch it. Now, I wouldn't say necessarily, in a still frame, so in a screenshot, where you just go side by side, people will look at that and they'll say, that looks very good, but I think there's better. There's something like you said, The Witcher. If you put that up to 4K, up everything up, the screenshots might look still, better, but when it comes time to move, it is mind-blowing. Because it factors into all the other parts of the game, all the other ingenuity into it. The animations, how the environment reacts, how the characters move, how the lighting changes as you move, and the destruction of the environments during combat. That's the whole package of this game. That's why it looks so good. Because those moments stand up above anything else. In a still frame, you can say, well, that one looks slightly better. But when it's moving, I don't think anything can touch it.
No,
I do not think.
Definitely agree there. One poor critical.
Water effects.
No, is the motion blur. That's the one thing that I did. I'm not a fan of motion blur. I don't like it, right? I just don't like it.
Tell him. Send him an email. But Logan, you've always been impressed by certain graphical marvels. Has this impressed you when you've been playing through it, or not so much?
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
Wow.
The one benchmark I've got for it really is The Order, which I thought was a good-looking game. Sorry?
I reckon it shits on that.
Yeah. And my point is that The Order, it's letterboxed.
We finally got that ironed out. It's 100% letterboxed. For those that were listening a few weeks ago, Logan said he's 96% that it is not letterboxed. And it is.
It was higher than that. It was 99%.
Was it 99? Fucking
yeah. It was that 1% doubt that cost me.
Yeah. And it turns out it was letterboxed. So, I don't like to brag, but I was correct on that occasion again. But, that you'd go on, sorry.
But yeah, and taking everything else into consideration in this game, sort of the size of the environments, all the textures, the size, everything, it's far more impressive that it keeps that level of performance with it as well, because I sometimes felt that the Order was good, but it was lacking in a lot of other areas, obviously. This sort of ticks all the boxes across all areas, and I say probably pound for pound it looks better than any game that I've played on a console. It does look fantastic. I like, as I say, there are times when I've been in some of the environments and you just sort of stand there for a minute, and it does give you that time as well just to have a look.
Yeah.
And appreciate and take it in. Like it's just the attention to detail. I mean, this isn't. I would say we're not going to spoilers, but I was looking at the sea, and I just saw like a little. I was just looking out into the sea, just admiring it, just having a look at the environment, and a whale come up, went back down. I was like, who's putting that whale there? There is no need for them to put a whale there. Yeah. Like just to cope. I mean, how many days must it take to do that? Yeah. But they've still done it. Yeah. So it's little things like that for me that sort of take me aback in it, and it does look fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point you brought up. That it allows you the time to admire it. It's really well paced in that. You know, they know it looks good, and they're just like, right, we're going to give you all these moments where you're gonna have to look at this and just. You can't say anything other than it's very, very impressive. They've paced it really well. It's not like it's constant rooms of enemies coming in and fucking trying to ram you up the arse. It's very well paced, and it lets you enjoy the traversal and enjoy the moments of moving around the environment and just soaking up what they've created. And like you mentioned, the level of detail there, I mean, it's ridiculous. One of the small things I noticed is that if you get Nathan kind of gripping his arms between two rocks, so left hand on the left, right hand on the right, after a few seconds his hands just start shaking where he's struggling. You know, and you can see his fingers readjusting to try and keep the grip. He never falls, as far as I know. I haven't left him there, but who's coding that in?
It's little things as well, like when you're holding onto one bit, and your feet are there. The feet don't just stay still; like it's constantly scrapping,
shuffling,
for grip, shuffling to try and stay on there. And I just think, Jesus,
have you seen when there's two of you hanging on a rock and you have to get past one another? That as well.
He goes round him, doesn't he?
Yeah, it goes. Actually clings onto him and goes round, whereas other people will just go straight, goes through,
or it'll just block you.
Yeah. But every minor detail is perfection.
And I think that's what makes games stand out nowadays. Is that, you see, I say it's easy, but it's no game generally, no AAA game nowadays looks poor. You would at each of them, you go, they probably look good, but what makes this stand apart is the attention to detail they've got in sort of in the environments, and it's those little things that make it that good.
And it's that doesn't compromise when you start moving and it kicks off. It just gets more impressive the more stuff they pile in with explosions and bullets and fucking destructible shit. It all just adds to it. And moving on to kind of like the combat and the mechanics of the game, combat connoisseur Logan, it's a cover shooter at heart really, with elements of like stealth and whatnot. How do you? Adkins say it's probably the weakest part, but it's still good. It's just that it's not as strong as some of the other areas. Would you agree with that statement, or do you think it's not? You know, it could be better.
I was thinking this earlier, actually, when I was going through it. I actually find the combat in it a distraction from everything else I'm doing, which I think is actually how it wants you to play it. Because if you were doing this in real life, you'd be like, fucking hell, like, just
pack it in.
Stop doing this. So, sometimes to me it feels like I don't actually want to come in contact with enemies. I just want to be able to carry on this adventure. Which I think is actually a testament to the game, funnily enough. But I've found it quite open in how it allows you to tackle these scenes. So it sort of goes, right, here are all the enemies. Go and if you want to try and kill them one by one in a stealth manner,
have a go.
Give it a go. It's bloody hard. Well, for me anyway, it doesn't tend to do stealth. Or you can just stay in cover, move from cover, and pick them off that way. But I'm not used to that. And what the one trouble that I've had with this game is that I'm only starting to explore the variety it gives you. So I'm used to a game giving me something where I've got a load of enemies and there is a way to kill them, and that is it. This gives you more variety in whether you want to get up high, where you want to go. You've got cover, stealth positions, and whether you want to take them up. So I think it gives you that variety, but I try not to actually engage with them in combat because
fucking hard sometimes.
It's hard, and I haven't got it on a hard difficulty. I think I can't remember but I'm only playing it casually, really.
Sure,
I still find it quite difficult. I tend to get peppered quite heavily, and the enemies still soak up quite a few bullets. So and it's not easy just to get headshots. I try and sort of move the aim around, but it's not. As I say, I'd agree with Adkins. It's not its strongest element, but it's not weak either. So
No.
That's my pretty basic summation of it. Is that it works quite well. It gives you variety, but it's in the way that The Division is a cover shooter, and that I feel that's perfected around that. And this doesn't feel necessarily that it's as good as that as a cover shooter, but that's setting the bar quite high with it, I think, to say that. And I think it's good, but it's just not perfect.
No,
that's pretty much all I'd say. But that's me criticising the weakest part, which is still strong.
Yeah. I mean, I think what surprised me the most. It did surprise me because we saw a demo of the very first reveal, and it looked like the levels were a lot more open.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, how's that going to play out? How's it actually going to work? But the level design really adds a new dimension to how you can tackle each area. Like you said, Logan, you do have options. You can go in stealth, you can go in guns blazing, and the expanded areas just complement this and allow you to really open things up. And I know that there's rope, targets that you can obviously swing on and whatnot, and there's bits I didn't use, but I think if you're really creative, you can create some really thrilling moments, just working your way through and using the swing rope, then jumping down, then doing an attack, and then there's going to be people out there going to make videos where it's going to look like a seamless action movie, but it's going to be real-time gameplay. Now, my memory's a bit poor, Adkins. You're going to have to help me out here.
Okay.
When it comes to the previous Uncharted's, is the combat's essentially the same. It's cover based, sticky cover,
Yep.
We know that. But were the environments this big and open? Did they offer you this amount of freedom previously? No. Good, because I thought I was misunderstanding my own brain, but I thought, I'll stick with it.
The combat, the shooting mechanics and stuff, they're very same to the previous ones. What they have expanded on is the hand-to-hand combat, the fighting.
Yeah.
That was done so well with the use of, being able to parry, and it just felt so cinematic. It had The Last of Us sort of all over it, this game.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that there's an influence on The Last of Us in good ways, ways for this, and I think it's added to it. Certainly.
But that's it. But no, the previous Uncharted, the levels would never. You had little sections you could go and explore, and there'd be treasures like hidden sort of coves or whatever. But there'd never been. You could never sort of take different routes to get to your objective.
No.
Like one of the levels where you literally can go left, right, or forward.
Yeah.
Where in previous games it would just be straightforward.
You were restricted. That is because I have the problem where I wanted to explore everything. I wanted to see everything. And I'd go, I'll go right, I'll go that way and see what's over there. And it'd actually be an alternative path to the end of the level almost that I would have never discovered if I hadn't gone round. I could have gone forwards or I could have gone left. But they have, like you said, 2 to 3 different routes around just to climb up onto something. There's normally not just one way of doing this. There is several ways of doing this. No. And you can go through the waterfall, you can go around the waterfall, you can go up and over the waterfall. You've all got these different options, which I don't, we're not there before. One of the complaints probably was that it's a bit too linear, whereas in this case there are a lot it's a lot more open for the player to decide. It's probably a pain in the arse for your collectibles.
Oh, I was just about to mention that. That was a real fucking cunt for me because I've just finished the first game, found all their trophies. So I was literally scouring every square inch of that level.
Yeah.
Now I'll go right. I'll start right. I go right, and I go too far, and I think, fuck, I can't get back.
Yeah.
What about the other ways?
Yeah.
And that, just made finding some of the maps are just so big.
Yeah.
That to scout every square inch will take you a few hours.
Yeah.
And it really was a bastard finding them collectibles.
I take it you missed a few on the way through then.
Yeah, I think there's around 130 or something, and I've got about 70. So
that's not a bad haul, but still.
Nah, still, they are hidden. Some of them are so well. Yeah. You'll think that it's the end of the map, but it's not. Yeah. You just jump down the rock cliff, and there'll be a secret little rope swing there, and you think, oh, for fuck's sake, how am I going to find that?
Yeah.
Clever bastards.
They are clever bastards. I mean, that's that piece. And one other piece, I think, a couple of other bits. Puzzle solving in the game. There's puzzles in this. I was actually very pleased with this aspect of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about the influence of The Last of Us, and there's some mundane shit in there, like moving boxes to climb up things.
Yeah,
like, that is something
that is
like,
The Last of Us.
That is The Last of Us.
Yeah.
All like, I was like, right, I can see exactly where I got that from, and they want to use it. Oh, here again, which is they're just like traversal puzzles. But when it comes to actually figuring out an actual puzzle towards the end of like a section of the level, they're actually very engaging and enjoyable to work out.
Yeah, somewhat challenging.
Yeah, they are challenging, and people that might annoy people if they're challenging. But I spent ages on one puzzle.
Yeah, and same one.
Yeah, I bet. And after a while, it gave me the option to skip it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I took that long that if I was at some point was so frustrated that I couldn't get past it and didn't want to look it up. So this is something for like I'm thinking someone like Piper who struggles with the game difficulty sometimes. I could. Oh no, he admits it. He said it didn't hurt as much. I mean, you're not saying he's a shit gamer. He's fucking crap. But yeah, like it gave me the option to skip it. I didn't. I knew what I was trying to do. I was just taking longer to figure out how to get there. But which I thought was a nice little touch. Logan, have you got stumped by the puzzles, or are you still managing to work your way through them pretty easily?
I think I've only had maybe 1 or 2 puzzles so far.
Yeah.
No, they've been okay. I haven't been. I'm expecting one now, but it sounds it. Well, I'll fucking be struggling here, and I'll text you and go, "Fucking hell, this puzzle."
Well, the thing
is,
it's never ridiculously hard. Like it always seems achievable. You've just got to, work through it. But
it's normally trial and error, which bothers me. I think, right, I've got to try that one there with that, and it's different combination, and that will stress me out.
Yeah,
so I forget what I've done. I've got such a poor memory. I'll go, fuck.
Yeah.
I like puzzles. I quite like that. So like little things where they're not too complicated, but you can do them at your own pace and figure it out. I quite like that. I get into my own little world with it. So that's another one of the things that I quite like doing, and just being given the chance to do it. And then combat comes along, and I'm like, stop distracting me from this puzzle solving.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is, and what I will say is, overall, I talk about the combat, and it is a distraction. I had the exact same feeling. I was like, fuck off. I enjoyed it when I was playing it, but I was thinking, I don't want this stress. I was enjoying just wandering around, exploring this place, and now I've got these fucking... Are they South African or New Zealand? I can't work out where they're from.
South Africa.
Yeah. I was like, get out, leave me alone. But what I will say is, and probably one of the criticisms maybe from the previous games was that there was too many combat sequences. I think in this one, it's balanced really well. It's definitely toned the encounters back, and I think they're aware that because the people are just going to enjoy just wandering around this. There's a lot of areas you think, oh god, it's going to kick off, and it doesn't. You can walk through that and explore, find some collectibles if you're Adkins, and you're not going to get bothered by it. So I think they've balanced it really well, which is important, because people don't, as much as people say, oh, I love combat, I think if you do too much of it, especially when it's just a cover-based shoot and you've got essentially access to 2 weapons throughout the entire game, you could get a little bit stale if they just flooded you with it, and it would spoil people's enjoyment of it, because they're undoubtedly the most challenging parts of the game are those combat sequences. Can't close this particular little game mechanics and combat down without mentioning the set pieces.
Yeah. Oh god.
Mad. I mean, we won't talk about any specific ones, but they were always good. But they are fucking good now.
Oh, I'm literally getting wood thinking about it.
Getting a lot of wood over there.
I am. I've had a semi on this whole chat. That
is a slightly disturbing spot. I'm glad that when you gave us the invite to have video before when it was off air, that we didn't take up on that, because those Batman pants would have been rising up. I was like, what's going on here? What is going on here? But they are good, aren't they? And they make you feel a part of it. Very few times are you just a passenger during these moments. You're controlling Nathan through it.
That's it. It's so cinematic. It is like you're just playing a sort of blockbuster cinema movie.
Yeah,
it is incredible. Just again, back to the level of detail, sort of the way that they make things destruct and stuff. Oh, but it's hard to talk about it without spoiling anything.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, it just every sort of big set piece that happens, you're just like, wow. Yeah. So once it's over, you sort of stop to sort of catch your breath.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh.
The exhilaration of it. Are you impressed with this aspect of it, Logan? Are you enjoying these set pieces? Because typically, I mean, one thing that Call of Duty did normally quite well was it had good set pieces during those campaigns, and you had those moments. And so this is obviously a different take on it. You're in third person, but it gives it a lot more options, doesn't it? Because it's in third person, you get to see a lot more of the environment around you.
Yeah, it took me by surprise, really, how because I suppose I'm used to getting these set pieces, but as a cutscene, you don't tend to get them.
They're not interactive, yeah.
Yeah, and you don't tend to get them as you're playing it. So it will move from gameplay into a set piece so seamlessly that you feel like you're doing it as well. And it's not the game necessarily doing it for you. You feel like you're involved with it, and
you can fail it. Like if you don't do the correct inputs, you will fail, and your Drake will get snarled up and get put down.
I've died so many times in this game, honestly, just by doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes for me it's trial and error. I'll go, right, I don't really see where I'm supposed, and then I'll do the set piece and go through it, and I'll die, and I'll go, fucking hell, where is it?
Yeah.
So that gives you a satisfaction when you go, right, I know where it is. You do the set piece right, and it all works out, and it's like you've orchestrated that set piece, but you've really just been a passenger. It's done really well. I really enjoy those moments, actually.
Yeah, I mean they've always been strong throughout the entire series, so it's good that they've managed to keep that particular aspect on a high note. Going to end it very, very brief story chat. I'm not even going to involve you two in it because, not that you can't be trusted, but actually it's a little bit of a, or it's a bit of a minefield, isn't it? But all I'm going to say is that it's very good, and I feel like this has a lot more layers to it than I was anticipating. Yeah, it's obviously a little bit more personal because we've got Nathan's brother who rocks up, which adds a good tone to it.
I was going to say it. I think it would be a different. No.
Here we go.
Different opinions. So, from your experience, being a previous Uncharted player to Logan playing it and completing it, I think there will be different elements. Like, there's a lot of nostalgia in this for Drake fans.
Yeah,
but someone who's just coming into this, they're it's still going to resonate and be like, "Fuck, that was a
good point." Actually, that is a good. I'd like to actually explore that now. I know, Logan, you've not finished it because like Adkins makes a good point there that you've come into this on the 4th entry, so you've missed 3 entries to this game.
Yeah.
But I think I personally, I can say this, but there's no way I can validate. But I think they do a good job of allowing new players to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Is that? Would you agree with that, or am I completely off the mark?
Yeah, I know there's one part in it that you're specifically referring to with the nostalgia.
Yeah.
And at that point, I thought, right, I know what's going on here, but I didn't know what they referred to. But it's such a minor point in it that I was just like, right, I don't really need to concern myself with it.
I think it does a good job of setting the table, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you spend a good while doing bits which are actually introducing you to the game.
Yeah.
You don't actually. It's not fair to say you don't start the story for a while, but it sets the scene really well, and it's really engaging while it's doing that.
Yeah.
At the same time, like, at no point did I feel like, come on, get on with it. I was quite happy going through the motions at the beginning, and it was really enjoyable. Yeah. And I don't feel like I need to play the others to understand this one at all.
No, that'll be a fear for people that have probably maybe people that have who previously had a 360 and didn't have a PS3 and have now gone over to PS4. That will obviously be a concern for people, but I would say that it with all of them really, they're all quite self-contained.
Yeah,
they've always been, and you always feel like Drake's been off on these adventures all his life. He's probably done 50 of them, and all you're doing is playing through just one of the many of those adventures. But it's expertly acted, and it's it's really well done. I'm very happy with the story arc for it, and there's definitely no complaints there.
No, phenomenal.
No, Mr. Adkins, you were going to leave us in a moment, but I'm going to leave the final word to you. If you have any final words, is there anything that you want to get off your chest, or one final statement for Uncharted 4? Is there for people that are perhaps umming and ahhing about it, they've got a PS4 and thinking, I don't know if I should get this. Is it as good as what they're saying? Are they just overhyping it? Is there you got anything to say to those people, because they are there?
I do, and for them I have 4 words.
Oh Christ!
Get the fuck off! Those 4 words are Game of the Year.
Wow. Mid-May, and he's put his marker in the sand.
Only contender I can see is No Man's Sky, but I've got high hopes. This is already in the bag. In the bag.
Yeah, I wouldn't. If you were to say that and they said, right, you've got to put your house on it being Game of the Year, or could be potential Game of the Year or not, I'd say, well, you've got to say it probably is going to be. Yeah. We never know, something might come out the woodwork, but it's it's needless to say, it is very, very impressive. And if you're in the crowd where you're umming and ahhing, just commit to it like Logan did, because you've heard his experience here today. He's had a good time with it. If you really don't like Uncharted, then still get it.
Yeah,
just still get it, because it's one of the very, and I never normally say this because it's bollocks. It is bollocks what I'm about to say, but it's almost worth it just to play it and experience graphics.
I played it.
Well, that as well, but just to experience how the game runs and performs.
Yeah,
and I would probably say this is one of them games that is, if you don't get this game and you've got a PS4, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
Honestly, and that's what I was thinking to myself, is that I've been reading a little bit and I've played. I just thought, look, what am I doing if I don't get this game?
Yeah.
What am I? Honestly, what have I? As someone that enjoys games, what am I doing if I'm not getting this one?
That's it. It's like owning an Xbox and not playing a Halo game.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
This is their IP. This is PlayStation.
Yeah.
This is the daddy.
Yeah, you got to give it a go. But Mr. Adkins, thank you for joining us on this particular segment. We will catch up soon. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
See you later, mate.
Yeah.
So that's Adkins gone.
Get him out of here.
There's no point keeping him on, because we've got a beta to talk about that both me and you have played.
Yep.
Been a good week, isn't it, for gaming?
It's been a very good week.
I've had so much fun.
Yeah.
We're talking about Overwatch, by the way, which we played Monday night.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Monday night. It was the last day of the beta, wasn't it? They'd extended it for a day, luckily, because I wouldn't have had to get on it. Yeah, fucking hell. And we sat down and played it. I had very low expectation. Not low, but I just thought, it's not my cup of tea, is it? We know this.
Yeah.
It's not really anything. I was thinking, what the hell am I doing? But what did we go? We went on about about 7:30. We went on it.
Yeah.
I was on it a little bit before. We didn't get off till midnight.
Gone midnight
on a school night.
I'd probably say it's closer to 12:30.
Yeah, it's absurd. I never do that. I never sit on a game, like even Uncharted is excluded, but most games I'll come off at like latest 11 off, because I need to have an hour to wind down. And I've got it at 12 and I'll get up at 6. It's not great, but I can
still function.
Yeah, but this, because it was past 12, it cost me. I was having so much fun.
It was. I don't know if surprising is the word, but I surprised myself how much I enjoyed playing that, because it was one that I'd been aware of, but I downloaded it, I think, on like the Friday night or something, and it sat there all weekend. I just went, I fussed, and then we sat down Monday night, and I thought, geez, I could play this easily again the next night or the night after for probably a similar sort of time.
Sure.
How's that happened?
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? For those that don't know, I mean, Overwatch, I don't know how to describe it. I guess it's a character-based, it's like a hero shoot, they might call it, where there's 21 characters, and they are all very, very different, and they are split into 4 kind of main classes. I think it's 4, isn't it? Yeah, it's 4 sort of main classes, like offensive, defense, tank, and support. But they kind of have subclasses in between them as well. No 2 characters play the same. They've all got individual weapons, they've all got individual powers, and there's special powers. So on the face of it, it seems a little bit odd, but it plays really well.
Yeah, I think one of the first things I said to you when we were getting a little bit frustrated at the beginning was I was going, what new is this offering?
Yeah.
What am I getting? It's just a first-person shooter with very little leveling or anything like that. What am I getting out of this? I just don't understand it. What do the characters do? I was getting quite frustrated, but once you start getting into it a little bit, it's just even when you're losing at times, like you can lose quite heavily and quite quickly on it, but it's still weirdly enjoyable and satisfying. It's such a hard one to describe.
Yeah, I think that satisfaction comes from the fact that it is objective based. So first of all, your kill to death ratio is irrelevant. It's about playing to your character's strengths and working towards the objective as a team. Now that last point, as a team, is probably where I see one of its few problems, is that if you get put in a team who are not playing the objectives or who are not smartly picking their characters, and sometimes you can turn the tide of a game by adapting and changing character because the team's got a fucking turret in there and you can't get through it. Someone needs to then pick up a tank of a shield and get in there. Like you need to kind of do that, but you can, like you said, you can lose quite quickly and quite heavily if, as a team, you're not functioning properly. So that is one of the problems. You are kind of a little bit reliant on your team, but it is quite casual. You can kind of pick this up. You can pick support class, and you can do a good job and feel. It's the feeling of being valued, isn't it? I think that's why when you lose, you don't feel as frustrated. Like, I guess one of my main issues, personal issues with typical online multiplayer games, is that unless you're top dog on the leaderboard or top 3, like you don't know, even if you've won, you sometimes don't feel like you've done a good job. Titanfall kind of let you have the minions. Like for me, I'd target the minions and pilots and trying to do that, and I'd get decent. I even be MVP a couple of times. But what Blizzard have done is, rather than have a typical leaderboard at the end, all they do is highlight the top 4 or 5 players who have fulfilled their roles or their duty for their characters well. So if you're a healer and you've kicked ass at healing, you've healed loads of people in your team, you've revived a few people, even if you've lost, you'll appear in that little kind of like wall of fame at the end. And it takes away a lot of the elitism on a typical kill to death leaderboard. It's a great touch, and it opens it up to people. Like they're typically good and accurate if they're just shooting. And
I don't think you necessarily have to be on this either, but there was one game where I was one of these support classes, and all I was doing was putting down turrets the whole game. Like literally, I was sitting there just making sure the objective had turrets on it. And I said to you afterwards, I said, I have offered nothing here. And I think I was like down as like the most valuable player or something like that, and it just gave me the little set piece thing. And I was like,
you get the most value, like the best play, don't you? Which is kind of like a 10-second clip of their perceived best moment of the game by a player. And it could be something like you just put down a load of turrets and it defended the objective really well, so that got put in there.
But I literally didn't get out there, didn't see really an enemy. I was just putting down turrets and making sure no one got in. And that's what I mean. You can, just by fulfilling, as you said, your duty or what you did, if you do that to the best of your ability, or you will probably be up there somewhere with. And it is about having a mix of characters on your team. So you'll have some support healers, some sort of long range sniper type characters, and then some that can get up in people's grill. And it does actually try and direct you when your team are selecting characters. It will go, you've not got enough tanks, or you've got no healers, or it will try and direct people so that you get a good mix, which I think is good. But at the end of the day, sometimes I was like, right, I want to play this character, so I'm going to do that regardless. And that can happen quite easily, and that's the trouble. That's probably the wrong way to play it. But we was doing the same because we was playing a beta. I think I wanted to play every character at least once all the way through, even if I knew it wasn't suited to the circumstances. So if there was snips there, walking in without a shield or without perhaps the Reaper, who's one of the characters who can teleport up to them, you're going to struggle. You're just going to get snapped off. But I was in the mindset. I was like, I've got to give everything a go. I've got to try every class, and I did in the end, and I was impressed. But it's if you could get 4 or I think, is it 4 or 5 on each team? Was it 6? I can't remember now. But if it's 5.
If you can get that amount of people that on one team, that'll be great. Because you could adapt quickly. You can adapt between yourself, saying, right, fucking hell, get a healer in here, get a tank in here, whatever. And you could actually have some really good games. And what I think this could be is a very good esports game.
Easily,
Because people will obviously have their specialty. So there'll be maybe an offensive person will always be an offensive person, but sometimes that's not going to be effective, and you need to be able to mix things up. So it's going to encourage. It'd be interesting to see the dynamic between the teams about how they switch characters and how someone, perhaps there's a captain in there, I'm sure there will be, who hands out the tactics and like, right, you need to get that fucking tank in there because these turrets are ripping us apart.
It is good like that. And you do notice how some maps are suited to certain characters and stuff. So you got one where you have to carry basically or transport an objective from one point to another. And I remember there was one game where we were trying to defend and stop them getting there, and they had these 2 tanks with shields,
Fuck me, yeah.
And you literally couldn't get through them. They were just walking along with two shields out in front.
Yeah.
You couldn't get behind them, and you couldn't kill them from front. So just waltzing through.
Yeah.
The game was over in about 2 minutes.
Yeah, we did not do a good job there.
What has happened there? Couldn't deal with them.
Yeah, they nailed that down. They had a tactic. Yeah, it's exactly like that. And I think having the objective-based thing obviously plays into that.
Yeah.
And what were there? Is there like 3 or 4 objective-based things? Like Assault, which is where you got to capture 2 points on the map. I'll capture the flag. There's Escort, which we were just talking about. So you're tasked with escorting a payload to a certain delivery, or you've got to defend it to stop them from getting there. And the way you do that is by basically getting your characters in and around the payload, and it'll move along these tracks back and forward depending on what team you're on. And then there's something called Control, which is kind of like a King of the Hill style piece, isn't it? Where there's a section of the map where you've all got to try and hold it. And it's like headquarters almost, actually. It'd be another example of that.
It is good in that it's only objective-based games. I mean, look, Pete and Hall will tell you, and probably you know, I'm not a big on the objective games, but on this, I love playing the objective. It was really good, and I was just getting in there, mixing it up or getting my point, depending on what character I was, and doing my bit for the team. And I think that's what it does really well, and I'm really hoping that they don't actually include a basic deathmatch on it, because
I don't think they will. There's no place for it.
That's what I mean. It's not. It doesn't encourage just killing one another. I mean, that is. Don't get me wrong. That is the ultimate way to win. Is that if you kill the other team more time than they kill you, generally you will win the objective. But it's more rewarding than that. You don't need to get kills. You just need to facilitate someone else doing something. If that makes sense. And that's what it does really well. It's not overly complex. There's not really a massive leveling system. Everything is unlocked for you. It just gives you the tools to go out there and play how you need to. And that's one thing I really liked about it as well, is that I at no point am I at a disadvantage compared to someone at a high level. No, all they've got is a different skin. Yeah. And more experience. That's literally all they've got. I mean, you're right. There's no unlockable powers as such. It's all level playing for when you first kick off, which is not common these days. Let's talk about the characters, because they make up the game themselves, don't they? That's essentially what the people you'll see someone and think, oh, he looks cool, I'll go over him, or she looks. But they're all very unique. Even I gave the support class a bit of a bashing when we was playing it, because I weren't a fan of some of it. It's probably 2 we didn't like, wasn't there? Yeah, there were 2 out of the 21, which we've said that they're just poor, utter poorness. I start to think as well, is that because I'm doing something wrong with them as well? Is that me just not doing what I'm supposed to be doing with it? I would say it's 90% us, not the game. It's us, it's us not playing to the strengths or picking them in the wrong type of battle. That's what I think. That's the more important thing for me. You need to when you first start off, you kind of think, right, this is I don't know, if it's an escort, you kind of think, right, I'll pick a shield guy so I can maybe protect us while we move it through. But the game will evolve, that game match will evolve, and you'll soon, depending on what your opponents do, you're going to need to adapt. I think, I'm 90% sure it was us, not the characters. Yeah. It was just us being poor. There was another thing I don't know if we're getting onto this, but where you don't actually pick your character. Oh, yeah. There is a mode for that, so usually when you die, you respawn. You can choose a character. So if it's not going your way, you think, "Fuck me, get me something else in." Where there is I can't remember what it's called now. It's going to annoy me, but you can essentially it randomises your hero pick. Yeah. Now what that does is, as frustrating as it is, and it takes away a little bit of the tactical element, i.e., who shall I pick at the right time for the battle, but it stops really good players who are really powerful with certain characters just using those guys and dominating the game. It gives everyone a fair crack. I mean, it is an interesting mode, and actually, towards the end, I was enjoying that mode because you didn't know what you were going to get, and it forced you to kind of learn and play to that character's strengths. Yeah, it's a bit of a gamble. Yeah. So if you get one that you're good with, you're like, yes, and you actually don't want to die. No. You actually want to be a bit more conservative with that character because you know that you might end up with a bag of shit or something that's not as useful in your next respawn. So although you've got the character that you might want to go and kill some people, at the same time you're just like, fuck, I don't want to go in there, risk death, and then end up with a healer, which isn't any good to me in this. So it's an interesting mechanic. I thought that one, and I quite enjoyed that. We didn't play it that much. We did a few rounds on it, but Yeah, again, it's just another mode that if you're a bit sick of getting done by a snipper every game, you just go, right, I'm going to go and mix it up in there. Yeah. And you know that if you kill that snipper that's up there once, he ain't going to come back generally, no. Unless he's very lucky. So you know you can get rid of him, and then he'll have to adapt his gameplay to another character.
Yeah, and it gives you a chance to play other characters and kind of use them. And maybe, you never know, if you do a good job of one, you think, oh, actually, they're not that bad, I managed to actually use them. It just encourages a little bit more openness, and it balances it out a little bit, I find. The really good players will obviously adapt and be able to use any character to the best of their abilities, but, you know, for people like me and you, it's kind of like, it gives us a bit of a more level playing field when there's fucking sneps up there causing problems. And I'm sure there's a more intelligent way to deal with the sneps than we were. Sometimes we just couldn't handle them.
Well, it's all in the head. It's almost a one-shot kill, and if you get someone that's really good with it, you try and get near them, and you're fucked. And unless you've got a shield there or something, but then you can't get up there and get them. So it swings and roundabouts.
The combination is get a shield guy, get the big tank in. I think his name's Reinhardt, isn't it? He's like a melee-based gun. Get the Reaper in, go behind the shield of Reinhardt, get close, then teleport up there, and because at close range you're gonna murder him. But that's those sort of tactics that it can encourage. Yeah,
exactly. Is that you sit there and you go, right, how are we going to deal with him? And me and you could sit there and you could go, right, I'll get Reinhardt out.
Yeah,
I'll shield up there. You come behind me, and then and that's what I mean. You can just do that whole one set piece, if you like, just to get one kill and to get one player out of there that's causing you problems. And then even if you just do that and you get stung in the rest of the game, there's that satisfaction there that you go, right, we've done it.
Dealt with
there's one for me that I still remember doing that I was so happy with, is where we were 98% complete or something like that on one of the captures to win the game.
Yeah.
They stole it back from us, and I was Reaper, and I had my special charged, and I looked in, teleported into the corner, walked into the middle, put my special off, killed them all, and then we took it and won. And I thought that one manoeuvre there has won us that game. And I just thought, right, that is the title move there. I've done it. I've used that character exactly how it's supposed to be used.
Sure.
It won us the game.
Yeah, and it got player of the match.
And I was saying to you the whole game, if that doesn't get viewed and at the end of the match, then I'll walk away. And it did. And I was just like that. And that's what I mean. It's capable of noticing them moments as well to give you that satisfaction at the end.
Yeah. I mean, I got a player of the match once, and I was thinking, it's the same with Reaper again. It was in a contested zone. I just walked in there, set off the special, wiped out 4 of them. It really stung them all, but it's good to see that it rewards you at the very end of it. And we walked on to one of the characters, Reaper. I think that was one of your favourites. Was there any other kind of characters that stood out for you in that? I mean, there's a lot to offer, but a lot of people I found were using Bastion, who's kind of like this mech who can hunker down into a turret, which has got a very powerful gun in it, but obviously you're stationary, you're stuck there. Would you agree that he's one of the stronger ones in there?
He's strong for defending, So I use Bastion a few points, and you can, as you say, you can hunker down, stay in that capture point, and generally anyone that walks through, you will be able to mow down, but you are just stuck there, just going, right.
Well, you only to sting that, you only need Reinhardt to walk in there with his shield.
That's what I mean. Everything's got its equal to be able to defeat it. So there's nothing. I imagine there will be some balancing they need to do off the back of that beta. Yeah. I mean, as you say, I think Bastion may be a little bit too hard to deal with.
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt very well balanced as it was. There's nothing I'm thinking they need to absolutely balance that somehow, but
it's all down to adapting, isn't it? Like, it's difficult. Like, if you could be Reinhardt and walk up to Bastion and deal with him, obviously you put your shield up, but you then need someone behind you to actually attack
the
Bastion.
Damage.
Yeah, so you need that's the only thing that kind of, and it's not even a fault of the game. It's just a fault of how people play the game. It's you need to be in a team who know what to do. They know the basics and they know how to, counteract these particular heroes. If you get a couple of, I mean, we're not the best players. I'm certainly not anyway. But I felt like I had a half decent understanding of what needed to be done at certain points. Yeah. You just need a few more of those people in there. So if you choose Reinhardt, you're going to have someone backing you up to wipe out this Bastion who's just mowing everyone down. Then he's dealt with.
Yeah.
He's done with. Then you can push on and move forward. But
agreed.
Any other characters that stood out for you? I mean, something like the support class? Did you have much joy playing those? They're typically people will be like, I don't enjoy support. All you do is heal and whatever. Or they still, you think, well, I could have a good fun with that. What was that bloody one that used to walk around floating his legs? Zaynetta?
Yeah, something like that. he was okay. He does relatively good damage as well, I thought. I got a few kills with him, but I don't know. I don't feel like you ever do enough as a healer. I always feel like that's the only thing for me is that I always feel like a good offensive player will put down the person you're healing quicker than you can ever heal them. I don't ever feel like they really do enough, if that makes sense. I
think they do though.
I don't know. That's my only. I'm always quick to write them off.
Yeah.
As not how I want to play. I didn't use them a lot. There was one specific support class that I and I think you did as well. We just ruled out. We went, that is poor. Yeah. What is that offering? And I think that's the trouble, is that you go, I don't really know the best way to play with it. And I think to master a support class, I think it is good on a few certain game modes. So like on escort, I don't be seeing how that's useful, but on a point defend, I think it might be. So I think in a way they can be useful, but it's who's going to take up that.
It's sort of self-sacrificial role. It feels like you're sacrificing yourself because you're healing others. But you know, if you're good at it, you can really help your team, because there's even one that can revive downed opponents, which is very helpful in a point capture. If the enemy are pushing in and starting to wipe out people, if you just do a revival, you can get 2 or 3 people back up and into the game and try and push them back out of it and keep that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's as I say, the offense, defense, tank, and support are the main ones. But it's 21 characters. They're all very, very unique, and they're all very, very good fun to play with. Now we move on to the main question. Yeah. It's out May the 24th. Overwatch will be hitting all platforms, barring the Wii U. So what happens?
Well, this is because we emailed yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I said to you, I was thinking about Overwatch, and you went, yeah, so am I.
Even after Uncharted, I still have very good memories from that one night that we did.
I would happily buy this, but it will rely on at least one other person.
Cooperation, for it to be.
And that is the minimum with it, I'm afraid, is that... Like if you said if you're getting it, I'll definitely get it, I'd go, right, banker.
Yeah.
But if you say I'm not getting it straight away, I might get it in a month or something, I wouldn't get it.
No.
And I'm thinking about who is available. Paper, he's a write-off.
He's available. He would enjoy this, I think.
Yeah, maybe, but I just
he could pick that up and he could find a character he's good with, or find a few.
He's a coster. That's the problem with Paper.
Wow. Yeah.
But if Paper said, right, I'll get it, and then Biff was on it, and Adkins went, it'd be awesome. It would be fantastic fun.
But a fucking dream world, mate.
Yeah, that's the problem, and it's the same. It smacks of Evolve, but
in
a way, in that it's not a minimum requirement to have loads of people, but you need to have, really, to get the most out of it, I think, to stand a chance, at least one other friend playing with you.
Yeah, I think you need at least one. I don't know, I played it on my own for a little while before you came on, and that was when I was very basic in the game. I didn't know what was going on. I still found I could still sit there and play it, but ultimately, if you wanted to play this a couple of times a week on a long session, I think you would want one other person there. The difference with Evolve was, I feel like you needed 4 people for that.
Yeah, maybe.
Not just one, and that's more a pain in the arse. It's more difficult. And if you had 5, brilliant, so you could all take turns in being the monster. Whereas in this, one other person is more than enough. I still think that you can get a way of playing it on your own. It's still the core gameplay is still enjoyable there.
Yeah.
Because even when there's just 2 of us, we were still moaning about other people going, "I ain't doing the objective." We had no say over it. We couldn't do anything, but I hate doing that because I know that I'm probably doing just as badly. But you
feel like doing? You go, where are they? What are they offering? There's me and you getting in there, and they're just fucking dying every time. You go, I haven't seen anyone's getting there. What's going on?
Yeah.
But it can be, with all objective games, they can be frustrating, but they can be rewarding.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm not. It was much more positive than I thought, and I'm really
absolutely
to make. And we talk about something like the Division, which you mentioned. You say, well, to be honest, that could replace that. It could be traded in, subsidise Overwatch. And I was thinking that's not a bad idea. We've pretty much finished the Division off. I think we wanted to do that incursion, but whether that's going to get picked up again.
Well, this is what I was thinking.
Question. I don't even go back to it after playing Uncharted. I don't know. It's just how loose and how free flowing that feels. It just feels the Division now in my brain feels really stiff.
Yeah.
And horrible.
Yeah, agreed. And that's why I was thinking I'd probably sacrifice it, because I feel like it's going to be one of them games now where I've done it. I don't feel like I've got that grind in me to get that incursion done, and then once I've done it, I don't feel like I've got unfinished business with that game.
No, I would agree with that. I mean, I would like to do the incursion, but they don't half make it difficult with what you've got to do gear wise, like adding a gear score, and it's like, well, it's not a quick win there for us.
This is what I said to you. I didn't want necessarily another Destiny out of it, and I haven't got that bug for it that I had on Destiny to sit and grind it, so I'll probably bin it. And I'm thinking trading probably £20 for Division, maybe subsidise Overwatch to £20. And I mean, I'm not a big trader, but to me that one makes sense at the minute.
Yeah, it's just going to sit there. Well, one little sort of news bit that came out this last week was that the Division has had over 9.5 million registered users, which would suggest to me the sales can't be too far off that. That's a decent haul. That's a very good haul, in fact.
Yeah.
But on average, people are playing this game 3 hours per day, and that must include people like us who are not playing it at all.
Yeah.
That's madness per day, 3 hours. I mean, you're currently working on a review for this.
Yeah.
Can you see that? I guess you meant the killer question was: will it give you the bug? People must have the bug for this. It's just that
some people must. I think it's easy to get the bug if you've got 2 or 3 others that have got the bug as well. But you haven't.
Contagion.
I haven't. Adkins haven't. So there's no one on there leading the way.
No.
Everyone's quite happy just to bin it, which lets it fall by the wayside. But maybe if me and Adkins, or me and you were on there, or you and Adkins were on there, one of us might be going, do you know what? I'll jump on as well. Yeah. I don't know, but I said to you before, I don't get it over this game. Like on Destiny, I want that specific gun. And I'll work towards that specific gun. I'll do their missions to give that chest a chance. I don't get that on Division. No. I just don't get it. So that
do you feel like this is it's babbling now, but do you feel like that is because and I might be incorrect, there is more of a base game there to start with? Do you feel like the fact that Destiny was quite low on its feet?
Yeah.
That it kind of was like, well, look, there you go. That's what we've offered you first time round. That it's very bare. It was very bare bones. Go back and do it and grind. But obviously, the Division had a lot more. I feel like it seemed like as a standalone game, it had more content there. In which case, you spend a lot more time initially going through it, and at the end, you're worn out because you've played enough of it just working through the main story.
I played Destiny a lot. What kept me going through that was the superb gameplay. The gameplay on this, as you say, is a bit more rigid. It's third person, not first person, and again, for me, it's just and this is one of my points I think that will come out in the review, is that you are stuck in realism, and it's contained by that real life nature of it. So, in the way that I was always after Galahorn on Destiny, that was the one, it was the most powerful rocket launcher on there at the time.
Did you get it?
No, I never got that gun. Some people got 4 of them. I didn't get one, but that was the one gun I was always working to. And there was another rifle that you could get from doing one of the raids. You could only get from that raid.
Yeah.
And you could use it in the multiplayer zones. And again, it was a really good gun. So you were always striving towards, and it was a guaranteed reward for one of the raids or whatever.
Yeah. On
the Division, I will just get a better AK-47, or I'll get a blueprint, which I then go out and get and I just go, it's not cool enough. It's not got that desirability for me to want to put those 12 hours into grinding it, or to sit I used to sit here with half a bottle of red wine playing Destiny raids into like half 12, 1 in the morning with some of the guys. You just fucking, and it'd just go like that. But I could never do that with the Division.
Nah.
And because it's not as rewarding. You don't get that. It's hard, but not in a way that Destiny was challenging, if that makes sense. And the reward isn't there for you to get through it. So I think that's the trouble with it for me, is that and maybe I'm just a bit worn out by Destiny. Maybe at the moment I didn't need another one of these RPGs to
be dealing
grind
with.
And I've just lost it again. But
Wow.
it's good. It's got its good points. It's better than Destiny in some ways, but in other ways it's contained by the realism, which makes it less enjoyable. But
yeah. Well, we will find out when your review hits on the Division.
Yeah.
Go back to Overwatch, May the 24th for those that are interested. We've had a really positive experience on that, just for one evening session. And it's a testament to the fact that we just didn't get off it till the early hours of the morning, or very late in the night. It was just it was a joy to play, and it was an unexpected joy as well. So there will be some tough decisions that need to be made come May 24th when Overwatch drops. I think it's time we wrap this up.
Yep.
If you guys want to get in contact with us, it's Facebook and it's Twitter /Dimp Digital, either of those. dimpdigital.com will have all of our content on there, podcasts, videos, blogs, all there as well. And obviously if you're listening to this podcast on a phone or on the go, and you want to keep up with us, subscribe to us, find yourself an app, and if you're on Android, use Player FM. If you're not, we're on iTunes, we're on Windows, we're on Apple, on all devices you can find us if you just put in the Dimp Digital podcast. And if you just want our video content, including our audio version of this, it's youtube.com/Dimp Digital for that. That's it for now though, game over. It's goodbye from Logan.
So yeah.
It's goodbye from me, Apps. Thanks for your time, and ta-da. Got a little post-podcast special, Uncharted for a Thief's End review, buy it or bin it. I'm going to plot this on the end of this podcast so you guys can get the official grading if you've not got access to our YouTube channel or you're on the go, and it's a little bit easier. So we've been talking about it all episode. There's going to be some reoccurring themes, but you'll get to get my uninterfered opinion of it and its final grading, which is what people are looking for. So sit back, relax and enjoy.
The artifact.
I made a promise that I was done with this life.
How long have we been chasing this thing?
Long time.
Real long time. Just you and me.
Uncharted 4 A Thief's End is Naughty Dog's latest and perhaps last entry into their famous Uncharted series. This is buy it or bin it, and Uncharted 4 A Thief's End earns itself a Dimp Digital buy it seal of approval. But does Uncharted 4 prove to be the landmark game that was promised? Stick around to find out.
Live your life, or we can just end it right here.
There's got to be another way.
I need you on this one.
You ever wonder, different choices, how we might have ended up?
No. I like the hand we've been dealt.
Here we are then, Uncharted 4 A Thief's End buy it or bin it review. You've got myself, Apps, here from the Dimp Digital team, and I'm going to take you through my personal review and give Uncharted 4 its official grading. As always, let's kick things off with my cards on the table. First off, I've played Uncharted 1 to 3 and The Last of Us, and I love them all. The highlight for me probably was The Last of Us, and that really did cement Naughty Dog in my good books for sure. Secondly, this review is going to focus solely on the single player campaign. I've done a bit of the multiplayer, had a good go at it, but nowhere near enough to factor it into the review properly. And from what I have played, I can tell you it's good, but the meat and gravy of Uncharted is its campaign, so I'm going to focus entirely on that. Thirdly, this is a PlayStation 4 exclusive, so unsurprisingly I played this on my little white PS4. That's my cards on the table dealt with. Let's crack on to the main review. Presentation and performance, I have to start here because Uncharted 4 is the best looking game I have played. That's a fact for me. Now, I don't own a big powerful PC rig. I have a PC here and I can do video editing on it. I can play real-time strategies. I'll play the odd game that's just more suited to a PC platform, but I can't pop The Witcher 3 in and run it at Ultra. Despite this, I'd confidently say that Uncharted 4 will compete with any game on any platform. Now, a screenshot between two games will paint a picture, but it will not give you the whole story, because the feeling of a game is something that is overlooked in the presentation and performance department. Once I had this controller in my hand and I digested how the game felt, how the game reacted to all of my inputs, how the environment crumbled around me due to the chaos that I caused, how realistically and smooth Nathan animates, that is when my jaw literally hit the floor. It's difficult to articulate, and it's even difficult to just appreciate by watching videos, but I was at one with Uncharted 4. Naughty Dog got this absolutely spot on. And it's the facial expressions as well. They deserve a mention in their own right. It really is so impressive what they have done here, because Nathan will be talking to a character and you can tell just by the subtle hints and the change in tone on their face that they're not happy with what Nathan is saying. It's so impressive. It's something I've not seen done this well in any video game anywhere, and it's a round of applause jobby for Naughty Dog on that front. And it's not just the headline parts of the game that look incredible. There is so much attention to detail there. Minor things like if you shine a torch in a character's face, they'll jerk their head back and start squinting, as the light's blinding them. Or if you've got Nathan hanging between two rocks, he'll sort of hang out there for a little while, but then after a few seconds his arms will start shaking, he'll start straining, his fingers will start re-gripping the rocks, and it's just those small minor details that I picked up on. It's absolutely ridiculous how many of these there are and how many small things that just pop up throughout this game. It really is a superb effort from them. As for the game itself, what mechanics are there? Is the game paced well? Is it good to play? And it'd be easy to assume that because Uncharted 4 looks and feels so good, then it's going to suffer in this department. So often developers concentrate on one thing and neglect the other. And if you made that assumption, then you'd be absolutely 100% wrong. You're wrong. They've got the full package here. That the pacing of the game, for example, is brilliant. They do not overload you with combat encounters or cram enemies up your arse. They let you breathe and they let you take in the stunning visuals that I've mentioned. They know they've got a fantastic looking game there, and Naughty Dog are happy for you to explore a lot of these environments without the hassle and the stress of enemies breathing down your neck. And also the environments they've created are much more open. There are multiple paths through most of them, optional areas to go and explore to pick up, secret treasure and Easter eggs and all sorts. Nathan has a lot more freedom than expected, and this translates beautifully into the weighty and the tight combat, because you now have room to move around, flank, get up high, use your grappling hook to your advantage. You can get really creative with the combat and have so many more options than you would have had on previous Uncharted games. If you're really good, and I'm sure there's going to be videos out there, but if you're really good, you could create moments that look like a set piece, like a proper set piece within the game. It's just fantastic, that part of it. But mentioning the set pieces, actually, I might as well mention it now. They were good in previous games, but they are stellar in Uncharted 4. I'm not going to spoil any, but just know that you're in for a real treat during these moments. If you don't like going face to face with your enemies, a lot of the environments and a lot of the encounters, you've now got stealth as an option. Stealth is far more robust, and it's a viable option in some areas. You can get through locations without killing or alerting a single enemy. There are paths there for you to do that, so it is a real upgrade. These environments really add a lot more flexibility to the player, whether it's inside the combat or outside of combat, because you'll be negotiating a lot of platforming, and there's multiple ways to do that and ways around that. There's platforming puzzles in there as well, and also, speaking of puzzles, there are out and out puzzles which are all very well done, and they certainly do not let themselves down in this department either. Story wise, the one last place they could slip up for me personally, and fortunately you get treated to a real tale. I think this particular story has a lot more layers than on previous Uncharted games, because I think the issues here run a lot deeper, and I can't really say much more other than I really enjoyed this, and I have to tip my cap to the writers, the actors and the directors on a job well done here. As you can probably tell, Uncharted 4 has consumed me. It's still got a firm grip on me. Even after completion, I want to go back and play this again. I want to switch my PS4 now and start playing Uncharted 4 again, because it's got everything that was good about Uncharted 1 to 3. It's then taken the best bits and the best lessons they've learned from The Last of Us and combined this with some masterful engineering to create the most breathtaking and exciting game I have played. This really is top level game development from Naughty Dog, and Uncharted 4 is a very, very special game. My official grading of Uncharted for A Thief's End is Platinum. Thanks for your time, and ta-da.